I am here today to inform you, the audience, on how to perform an oil change. It costs less and it's relatively easy to simply change your own oil yourself. Good day, class. I am Stephen Charles, and I'm going to actually show you how you can change oil and how easy it is. How many of you own your own vehicle? Would you like to save the money on vehicle maintenance? I have over 20 years as a vehicle mechanic and have never paid for an oil change. I will instruct you on how to change your oil yourself in 15 minutes. I assure you it is relatively simple. Oil change requires a few simple steps, and if followed, it would be safe and easy, and it saves you money. In addition to saving you money, it also gives you a feeling of accomplishment and satisfaction. I have a friend who has a Hyundai Accent and paid $125. After listening to my instruction, she now does it herself at a cost of only $25. Now if she buys 4 sets of oil, 4 quarts of oil, and 1 filter at $5, she's basically walking away with that amount. So she's actually saving a good bit of money. At 4 oil change in a year, because you want to kind of change your oil every so often after every certain amount of miles. You don't want to really accumulate too many miles. Some people change their oil at 3,000 miles. Some people changes their oil at 5,000 miles. It all depends on how much you actually run your vehicle. But if she changes her oil 4 times a year, she saves $420 annually. She now feels pretty good about herself and has an extra $420 of disposable income. Her kids are really proud of her, and she boasts on being an independent woman. Can you believe that, lady? This could be you too. The first thing you want to do in preparing to actually do an oil change is you want to identify the oil and filter, type of filter, and purchase them. You don't want to buy any type of filter. You want to make sure that you have the correct type of oil, the correct grade of oil. A good way of actually doing that is actually taking a look at your oil filter cap. If you go under the hood of your vehicle and you take a look at the oil cap, it actually tells you sometimes, not all vehicles, but most vehicles now, tells you what grade oil you can actually use in changing your oil. So you want to make sure that you take a look at that and be sure that you're using the correct oil. If it's too thick, you can damage your vehicle. If it's too light, you can also damage your vehicle. So you want to make sure that you actually have the right type of oil, and you also want to make sure that you have a good filter, because not all filters actually works for certain vehicles. You got to get that good oil flow running through your vehicle. A good way of actually doing that as well is you want to check your owner's manual for information, or if you don't have an owner's manual, you may want to actually take a look online. Taking a look online gives you a lot of good details, and it actually helps you out as well. It helps you out along the way. It gives you step by step on actually what you can do to change your oil. You want to identify the type of tools that you're going to be using. Most of the time it's actually a ratchet, a socket. Okay, you want to get your oil pan that you're going to be draining your oil out in. You want to make sure that you get that as well. Once the tool and material has been acquired, you are ready to begin. First step is you want to conduct a safety check. Taking a look at your surrounding. Making sure that you identify a firm and level ground. That is where you're going to actually start doing your job. You want to actually make sure that you run that vehicle for about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, because the hotter the oil is, the quicker it drains out. The colder the oil is, it takes a longer time for it to actually drain out. So you want to actually run that vehicle, run it for about 5 to 10 minutes, Let it be real hot, but you gotta be very, very careful. Sorry about that. You want to be very, very careful when doing so. Be sure that you actually run that vehicle and be very careful, because hot oil can burn. And you have to be very careful in that. Make sure that you're using the right type of gloves when working around that hot oil, because you don't want that oil falling on your skin. You can get seriously injured on that. You want to park your car. Make sure you set your brakes. You want to chock your wheels. You want to jack the car if it is too low. A lot of the times we try to find shortcuts, and safety is number one in everything that we do. Be sure that you actually chock that car, or you got to lift it up to stabilize it. Make sure that you actually use jack stands as well. I've seen some people do some crazy things out there. You don't want to be taking blocks or stones or stuff like that and sticking it under a vehicle as chocks. Be sure that you use the correct jack stand, and be sure that you guys use the correct chocks when it comes to that stuff. If a car falls on you, chances are you're probably not going to be able to crawl back out underneath it if the car is too low. You want to identify your drain, okay, the oil drain, and you want to find that filter and remove it. Now there are a lot of filter wrench. You want to make sure you have a good filter wrench. It all depends on where your filter is actually located. So you want to locate that filter, the oil filter, and you want to move that oil filter. Please prevent spillage. We're trying to live a healthy and long life upon this earth, and we also have to remember that we are not here by ourselves. We're sharing this earth with animals and a lot of other things that are out there. So be sure that we actually practice preventing spillage. You want to collect that used oil and dispose of it very carefully. Dispose of it in the correct location. That is very, very important. After replacing the old oil, you want to check the area, making sure that there are no drips, no leaks, nothing around the place, and you want to clean up the area. Now you're almost done. Be sure that you tighten up all the bolts. Make sure that you put in your filter correctly. Be sure that you actually also use a little bit of the fresh oil around the seal of your new oil filter before putting on your oil filter. Successfully changing your own oil saves you money, and it helps you along the way in being confident in yourself. Lastly, you want to make sure that you secure your tools and material. Conduct one last safety check around the area. Clean up and dispose of everything that needs to be disposed of properly. You want to start your vehicle. You want to run it just for a little while. Shut it off. Start it back again. Reason for? It's a lot of the time with the fresh oil, it hasn't gone up to the head of the vehicle, and that can actually cause a little bit of problem. So you want to start it, let the oil build itself real slow. Don't rush the process. Shut it off, bring it back again. Now you got to remember my friend who saved all that money based on these prices I spoke to you about a little earlier on. I thank you, audience, for listening to me, for bearing with me. I thank you for being such an attentive audience, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye-bye. Take care.